Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit back.
Hey, we're back with more Live from the Heartland. I'm Michael James, and we're recording this show on the 1st of February for our Saturday broadcast and stream on WLUW. Of course, you can get it on youtube.com/Heartland Media, a bunch of other places. My next guests are going to be Joe Iosbaker and Frank Chapman. They're both involved with the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, and they're both real active in the police district council elections. We just finished talking to Marilyn Pagan Banks. I let everybody know who listened to the earlier part of the show that you gentlemen would be on. Frank will join us shortly. The reason I connected with you, Joe, was because I saw that the strike at the University of Illinois was over, and I wanted you to fill us in on that, which I'm going to have you do now, because we got a few minutes till Frank comes, and then we'll get to the nitty-gritty on a real opportunity for community control of police. So how are you today? And tell us all about the University of Illinois strike.
I'm doing great. Thank you, Michael. Great to see you again, my old friend. UIC has become strike city. There's pretty much been a strike every year at UIC since 2012. It's what happens when you've got Republicans in Springfield running an institution of higher education in Chicago. They've got to learn, as we like to say, the Chicago way. So the faculty went out. They were out on strike for just 4 days. Management buckled, came back to the table, and gave them, I don't know the whole package. I wasn't in their union. I retired from UIC a year ago. I was in the Service Employees Union, but we're against the same employer. We always, coordinated our bargaining and our contract campaigns, and the solidarity fully exists between our union and their union. But I went down every day as a retiree to walk pickets with the professors. And so what did they get out of it? I know that they got the two starting things. One is for all of the professors who are non-tenure track, their minimum salary is going to be $60,000 a year. And I know you hear that and you got to think, the minimum, like the faculty at UIC was starting at less than $60,000 a year. Yeah, they were starting at less than $50,000 a year. It's really, when you consider, how many students get there. It's 35,000 students now at UIC. So these non-tenure track faculty were teaching these enormous classes. It's just exploitation. So they won that. They also got a 10,000 bump up. I think it's $70,000 a year for the tenure track faculty, which again is poverty wages for somebody with a PhD. And then the other thing is they really pushed, what the CTU pioneered, the bargaining for the common good. And
Chicago Teachers Union.
The Chicago Teachers Union. The Teachers Union, they're both in the same international. The faculty union here at UIC is in the same, American Federation of Teachers, but people are more familiar with the Chicago Teachers Union at the public school system. Anyway, they pioneered this bargaining for the common good, where they take the needs of their students and put it on the bargaining table. And while management at UIC wouldn't put anything in the contract, they did sign a side agreement that they would put more money into the starting point for the common goods element of the demands was for mental health services for the students at UIC. The majority of the students at UIC are working class. The majority of our students are immigrants. The majority of our students, they're the first people in their families to go to college. This has been a horrific 3 years of pandemic, of uprisings, of violence in the cities because capitalism sucks. And so, our students are living under a lot of stress. Yeah. So the faculty fought for them as well, which I think is it's what the word solidarity is supposed to mean.
Joe Iosbaker, let me ask you, to talk a little bit, to take it from the University of Illinois Chicago to across the country. We've seen lots of faculty at universities organizing. We've seen lots of teaching assistants organizing, et cetera. What's moving this, and what's good about it?
Well, there's two aspects to it. One is that there's a proletarianization of education that's been going on for, I don't know, 3 generations. There's I remember my old friend Joe Burns published a book called Strike Back, about the rise of public sector unionization, which began in public education, in the public schools back in the 1960s, the first teacher strikes, and we see it with doctors as well. So I worked in the dean's office in the College of Medicine for 20 years at UIC. So I was out on strike, SEIU 73. We were out on strike in the fall of 2020, along with the Illinois Nurses Association. And at the tail end of our strike, we found out, that was a 12-day strike in the fall of 2020, we found out that the interns and residents at the University of Illinois Medical Center unionized while we were on strike, because they've been paid so badly, and treated so badly by management, and they saw the nurses and us shut down the medical center. Like, the university wasn't making any money for 12 days. And the interns said, let's get in on this. So now the only people at UIC who are not unionized is management.
That's as it should be. And maybe they'll be union someday.
It's wall to wall. So anyway, the proletarianization of the professions, has been going on. And then, and the other thing is, as I was joking about it before, but it's true that the administration of the University of Illinois is, even though there's a Democratic administration now, it's really run from Urbana. We're the poor little sister at UIC, and Urbana's administration is Republicans, and they don't know how to relate to you. You're not seeing a strike every year in Urbana. That's they don't know how to treat working class. They don't know how to relate to working class people. They think they can just give us the crumbs off the table, and people are sick of it.
Well, let's hope that the University of Illinois in Urbana not only has better football teams and basketball teams, but gets everyone organized down there. Hello, Frank. I'm Michael James. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay, well, Joe and I were just talking a little bit about the University of Illinois, but the real reason that I got you fellows on here is we have these police district council elections, or police oversight board, I've been saying. And it's a culmination of a lot of hard work, and both of you have been involved with it. I go way back to remembering the Black Panther Party in Oakland, and Bobby Seale and community control of police in Uptown back in, well, actually the spring of 66, 67 or so. We started a Citizens Alert as part of the Joint Community Union. And Mary Powers. We took a few busts chasing the police around in those days. We're really at a new place. As my partner, co-producer, and sometimes co-host Katie Hogan points out, this is the furthest Chicagoans have ever gone to reform police behavior and practice. How is it that only 2 mayoral candidates, Jamal Green and Brandon Johnson, are regularly referencing the district council election and the consent decree itself? Either of you want to take that on?
Well, I'll take it on if Joe doesn't mind. Yeah, well, this is nothing new from the top. We've been getting we haven't been getting any cooperation or collaboration with those that occupy the top seat of power here in Chicago, the mayor's office, ever. And what cooperation we did get with regard to Mayor Lightfoot, that was forced through a mass movement. And I was on the negotiating committee. I sat through those negotiations. We had to negotiate every line of this new ordinance. We had to fight for it. It was a very rough go. And then after we won that fight, we didn't win it 100%, but we won it to a significant extent that got us to where we are now. After we won that, it came time for implementation. The mayor's office closed down on us. We had to fight all over again to get them to help out. So I'm not surprised with what's coming from the top. So the people who are running for that office, who want to continue with the status quo, of course they're not going to support us. They're not going to. The people who are running for that office, who are challenging the status quo, it's only logical that they would support us.
Let me, for people out there listening or watching, we basically have an election in Chicago on the 28th of February, and we're going to elect 66 members of this new, police oversight board or police district councils. And there are, I know in up here in the 49th, 50th ward, we have a slate of people who are running, and we had one of them on earlier on the show, Marilyn Pagan Banks, and we've had Veronica Areola on. How about talking to us about the movement around town in other wards and other neighborhoods, South Side, West Side? I imagine this is really kicking in, and people are participating and really looking forward to an election that will bring them some kind of bring them a means to have a better situation in relationship with the Chicago Police Department. Fill us in.
Well, you want me to go again, Joe?
Go ahead. You can do all the talking.
Okay. Well, on the south side and west side of Chicago, we really have a very dynamic process going on. As I often say, 90% of the people running on the south and west sides of Chicago are brown and black, and mostly working class, and a significant number of poor people. 90% of them have never ran for a public office before. I would say 99% of them have never ran for a public office before. So this is truly a grassroots movement involving people who haven't been on the bottom, but who are on the bottom present, And also they represent communities that have been really criminalized, abused by the police, and also they've had a high incidence of police murders. So these are the people, and a lot of these people who are running on the south side and the west side, they have been victimized by the police themselves, Now, they're not running because they have a vendetta. They're running because they believe that the people in the community need to have a voice, and that voice has been ignored over and over and over again. And so they're running to get that voice heard. So we have a very unique opportunity here, and a very strong and unique movement on the south side and the west side.
So most of the candidates for this board are people who would, for lack of a better way of putting it, would be kind of pro the community side of the relationship with the police. I'm wondering, I know up here on the north side in, I think it's the 22nd district, I'm not sure what it's actually called, we have people on the ballot who are probably closer to the fraternal order of the police than they are to community control of the police. I'm wondering what it's like down there. I know up here there's been some attempts to knock, I think across the city, to knock some people off the ballot. Can you talk a little bit about that and who the candidates are and what opposition they're getting?
Yeah, there was some attempt to knock people off the ballots, and some of we lost a couple of candidates that got knocked off. Uh, and I think in the 25th district, we know that this is being engineered by the FOP. They spent about $25,000 to try to target our people, but for the most part, they have been unsuccessful. Overwhelmingly, most of our people have been able to stay on the ballot, and a lot of those challenges that they threw at us, we drove them back. We defeated them.
Frank, let me ask you, well, what are the actual,
including our comrades and our friends on the north side, because they tried to get them off the ballot. They tried to knock some of the slates off the ballot.
Yeah, they
lost that fight.
Yeah, well, let's hope it continues. I know that we had a victory on that just this week, but who knows what they're going to attempt to do. Frank, let me ask.
We just have to keep on fighting, that's all.
Right on. What powers do the Community Commission, or does the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability have? So what kind of power will the police district councils have?
Well, the police district council is going to be the eyes and ears of the citywide commission. They're going to be the eyes and ears. In other words, that commission is going to be driven by what the people in the police districts who live in the police districts say that they want in terms of public safety. And so we see the representatives in the district councils being the eyes and ears of the commission. The commission is empowered by law to look at all aspects of policing in this city. You know, by law, we have the mandate to have complete oversight. In other words, all policies we can question, and also we can initiate changes if policies have been particularly harmful to the community, like the unwarranted use of deadly force, like breaking in people's houses without a warrant. Stop and frisk. You know, these are policies that have been deadly to our people, and so we can change those policies, or even get them eliminated. We have the power to do that, and we intend to exercise that power. Now, in terms of what the community wants along specific lines for their particular district, that's going to be determined by the people who live in that district, and they're going to let the representatives in that district know what their needs are. The main thing about it is that they have right now a decisive voice in saying who polices their communities and how their communities are policed. So we intend to do something about racist policing, racist cops policing in our communities. You know, that's high on the agenda. And now we have the ability to do something about it. We can hire and fire the head of COPA, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability. That's the investigative body. That's the body that investigates police crimes, police misconduct, and so on. So we have a tremendous influence over that body. At this stage of the game, that body is beginning to cooperate with us to work with the commission. So we're about to see a new day here in Chicago. I know the FOP ain't ready for it, but we're going to get the people of Chicago ready for it.
Let's do a little history on this, how this all started in Chicago. I mean, I referenced earlier the Citizens Alert, and I did talk about Bobby Seale, but there was someone who was killed here in Chicago, and I think that was what really kicked things off. One of you want to share a little information on that?
Well, I think with us, with our movement, National Alliance Against Race and Political Repression, that would be Fred Hampton.
Well, yeah.
You know, that's what kicked out because this movement started a long time ago. Now,
no, I understand that. I just kind of go ahead.
Recently, within the last decade, the two murders have been very, very decisive in firing up our movement, and that is the murder of Laquan McDonald
Yeah.
and the murder of George Floyd. Although he wasn't in Chicago, he fired up a movement here. But the Laquan McDonald murder, I would say more than any other, put our people in the streets for weeks. And
How about Rakia Boyd?
Rakia Boyd is what got us started.
Right.
Rakia Boyd in 2012, we met 1 month after she was murdered. I think she was murdered in March. We met in April, and we formed a CPAC,
Police Accountability Council.
Yes, Civilian Police Accountability Council. We've been moving so fast since then. I forgot the name, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Rakia Boyd got us started. We formed that committee as a result of her murder, and so this campaign was really kicked off as a result of her murder.
Well, we keep seeing these murders happen around the country. We're dealing with one now. Tyree Nichols was just killed in Memphis. And it was pretty heinous, and it's getting a lot of attention. How about either you or Joe talking a little bit about the national move? Because now that we have this district council here in Chicago, we're probably in a much better place, potentially, than a lot of other jurisdictions around the country. And I'm just wondering if you could talk about the movement around the country for community control of police. How's it going?
That's Frank. That's Frank as well, because he also chairs. He's the national director, executive director of the National Alliance.
You can open it up, Joe.
All right. Well, the point is that after the George Floyd rebellion, we saw this law and order backlash, which is still playing out, as you described earlier, Michael, in the Chicago mayoral election, where everybody is, all of the candidates except for Brandon and Jamal, and to a lesser extent Rod Sawyer, are talking about more police and more money for the police, and policing as the solution to the crisis of public safety. But the other thing that happened after the George Floyd rebellion is the National Alliance was reestablished, and we now have 22 affiliates, and every one of those affiliates, there's organizing going on in Jacksonville, Florida, in Dallas, Texas, in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis in particular, in LA, in Milwaukee, and these committees are using what we've accomplished in Chicago as a template. There's going to be, when you can't, all the talk about, police, this crisis of police terror, but no resolution, no progress. When people see what's happening here, it's going to cause it's going to cause a ripple effect. People are going to look at it and say, let's try that.
Well, go ahead.
We just add to that, we got people from all over the country coming in here to help us. We got people from New York coming in. We got people from DC coming in. We got people from Louisiana coming in. We got people from Texas coming in. We got people from Minneapolis. People who just in here from Milwaukee. People came in here from Virginia. Why are they coming? Why are they coming from all over the country? Well, part of it has to do with the fact that the National Alliance Against Racism and Political Repression is a national organization, so we're calling upon them to come. But the other thing has to do with is that they see how important this is for their cities. They see that this is the only city in the nation that a movement like this is going on, and that it's about not redeveloping some trust that never existed in the first place between the community and the police. It's about power. It's about empowering our people to do something about this problem.
Well, I'm really glad that it's going on. I know up here in the 49th Ward and around, we have this slate and we're supporting them. And we are, through Michael Harrington and other people, we've been kept abreast of all the dynamics of this whole process. And we're going to have you both back on in the near future, talk about how it's going or whatever other issues are on in the forefront. Chicago is the center of the universe in a lot of ways. And what we do here really emanates around the world. We have like people from all different places come here together. They talk about it being a segregated city, but it's a crossover city. There's a lot of people crossing over and influencing each other. And you guys are in the forefront, and I'm appreciative of that, as are many other people. That's it. We got to vote on February 28th. And
Right
people
on.
can vote now.
All power to the people.
Why don't each of you give us a little 1 or 2 sentence final roundup before we have to head on out?
Well, I'm gonna refer back to a famous speech made by Malcolm X, called "The Ballot or the Bullet." Either we beat them at the ballot box, or they're gonna continue to beat us with the bullets.
That's a good version of that one. How about you, brother?
So I just want to say that my union was the first union in Chicago to get behind the CPAC legislation and then helped to build a coalition of labor unions. And that's the other special formula, the special sauce that the Chicago movement for community control of the police has pioneered. And people around the country are looking at this as well. Throughout U.S. history, the times that the working class has made the greatest gains is when the Black liberation movement and the labor movement have come together. And I'm very proud that the Chicago working class has picked up and joined this movement as well.
Right on, brothers. I want to thank you both for coming on live from the Heartland. I want to thank